Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'll give people a couple of minutes to start filing in. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with me today. I'm really looking forward to helping you understand the incredible power that our new generative, our LexisNexis Canada's new generative AI solution is going to bring specifically for labor and employment lawyers. I, of course, am a labor and employment lawyer. I was called in 2002. So I also identify as a Gen X lawyer and a person, with maybe some specific barriers to certain technologies, such as, well, my colleagues will certainly um, verify that I have some severe problems with using things like Excel. Before I get started, I'm just going to take a minute to turn down my volume so I don't hear people coming and going. And I'll get right into it. I've got a couple of slides to share with you, but I know everybody's anxious to get a quick look at the tool. So let's get started. For those of you that don't know me, again, my name's Juliana Saxberg. I'm a lawyer since 2002. I spent a lot of years in-house, and so I work currently with the corporate academic and public segment of LexisNexis Canada. I work a ton with in-house counsel, and I really love supporting in-house counsel, particularly when it comes to labor and employment issues, because I think you have a lot of good to do, not only in ensuring that people have really great work experiences, but that Canadian companies and entities continue to be the best governed organizations in the world. So my quick agenda for you today, I'm going to go through a couple slides just to share some quick facts, and we'll get right in and show you the demo, and I will conclude with some next steps. I'm committed to keeping this under 30 minutes. So let's jump in. When it comes to artificial intelligence, there's just a couple of things that I think we all have to understand and be able to talk about in terms of having vocabulary, even to have this conversation. So really quickly, I think everybody knows that there's been a ton of chatter in Canadian legal circles about using AI to enable legal practice. And we obviously all have worries about it, probably because of cases like this one, that ended up with, well, there are some obviously well-known examples of lawyers using generative AI solutions to enable their legal practice and then maybe not having a great experience because of not being aware of things like what we call hallucinations. So the key vocabulary that we need to start with today is extractive AI versus generative AI. At LexisNexis, we leverage both types of technology. So extractive AI finds relevant results within existing data, and generative AI is going to create those outputs. So you may not know this, but if you're using LexisNexis products already, you're already accessing our super strong extractive AI tools. LexisNexis has been engaged in exploring machine learning technologies and artificial intelligence technologies for decades. And over the last 10 years, the company has invested $1 billion in the tech stack to rebuild our product environment so that it would support the offering that we're preparing to bring to the Canadian market. Lexis Plus AI was launched successfully in the United States last year. It recently went live in the UK and in Australia this year. And we're targeting a summer release for those of you that are excitedly waiting for this tool. So this is just going to give you a quick surfacing of the extractive technology that's built in or baked into Lexis Plus, our flagship offering. It's an extractive tool that can be super helpful with locating and bringing out applicable case law and key passages from cases as if you had an associate with an encyclopedic knowledge of all of the cases. So you're able to ask our current tool a question using Lexis Answers and the AI search algorithms that together power our smart search technology will return key passages from Canadian case law that the tool is determined is directly responsive to your query. It does match on the basis of law and fact. So if you get to the question that, you know, we all remember from being associates, find me a case that says whatever, or can you help find this case that I remember from 1963 where the person had a psychotropic fugue? If the case exists, our extractive tool will find it. Answers is like the mini version, and there's actually a paragraph page version, which I call the mini version, and then a big version, which allows you to upload documents. And so what you can do with this tool is you can upload any document. You can upload briefs of argument, obviously, submissions, but also things like contracts, demand letters. Sometimes I might sit down, I think I know the law after 20 years, and type out what I think the law is or should be and put it in here. And again, what the algorithms do is they go out into the case law in about 11 seconds and come back only with cases that have provisions or excerpts from cases that are directly responsive to my query. If you want to see that, I definitely invite you to take the steps that I'm going to cover and follow up. So let's get to the meat of what you want to see here today, which is we want to meet Lexis plus AI. Quickly, I'll let you surface the 4 features, and then I'm going to jump in and show you the tool. So there's 4 key features that are included in Lexis plus AI. Ask a question, generate a draft, summarize a case, and upload to summary documents. What's cool about Ask a Question or any of these features is that we allow conversational search. So you have up to 4 follow-up questions after you ask your initial query. The case summaries are, of course, different from what you would expect from, you can come into our catalog of content and find a case summary that was written by an editor. You can also use this tool to provide a comprehensive case summary of any case from the citation or even just the title that's going to accurately identify the issues, the ratio decidendi, the juridically significant facts, and will put front and center the key legal findings. So it's a little bit more than what you expect to get from an editor-generated summary. As far as drafting goes, the tool has a bunch of features that are currently supported. So you can ask the tool to summarize, for example, an argument that that would apply to a particular area of law. Because the tool has access to all of our assets within our exclusive ecosystem of LexisNexis proprietary content and black letter law, it does have the ability to generate other forms of drafting, and I'll show you that with the demo. Here's maybe where I'll pause, because I know this is really, really important information for all of you to know, and I think that this is actually a differentiator. When you're selecting AI solutions for your use with legal research, I think it's really important to ask these questions of everyone, okay? And I will be going through this and letting you know exactly how our tool works and how we protect your confidential information, your sensitive information, and your work product. But just to summarize it up in a nutshell, we're not scraping your inputs. We're not scraping the outputs. The tool operates in a 100% closed system. That means when you log in, the tool is not going to go out to the internet to generate or to find content to generate outputs here, okay? It's only allowed to consult sources in generating outputs that belong within our exclusive universe of, again, authoritative Canadian case law, legislation, but also analysis and commentary, including our assets from practical guidance. So I'm going to jump in without further ado and show you some examples of how the tool works. You can see I've been playing with it for a while. I'm going to go ahead and ask it a legal question. You could choose select jurisdiction. It's not necessary, but it helps the tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and ask it to summarize the elements of a constructive dismissal claim. And while it's working away, I'll take an opportunity to talk about maybe some of the other features here. So like I said, we're not scraping your inputs. These are all encrypted, and this tool is powered by a number of different LLMs that are available on the market, including GPT 4.0 and Claude from Anthropic. But what we're not doing is taking your inputs and sending them back out to the owner of the tool. All of these are encrypted, and you have 100% control over who gets to see them simply by coming in here and clicking the dumpster sign. So you can either hang on to that if you like it, or you can get rid of it. Same thing with this output. This output is not going to be used as a model to train other outputs, and it's not going to pop up on anybody else's screen. Unless they have a very similar query. Each one of these responses is unique. And so even though the AI is like the author of it, it's not a copyright holder. So you can go ahead and take this output and use it without having to worry about, committing plagiarism or copying. What another thing that's really unique about our tool is that we use retrieval augmented generation. What that means is that each one of these outputs is going to be anchored in a source. And what we can tell you, because these sources, again, are only coming from stuff that's included in our exclusive databases, there will not be any hallucinations. So you don't have to worry about accidentally submitting fake cases to the courts. That said, if you're a lawyer, you know as well as I do that our regulator expects us to verify every line of output if we're going to use a generative tool. And what's excellent about this is it makes it super easy to do that, because I can go ahead and read this. I can click on the citation. And because it's all together under one roof with Lexis Plus, consistent with the inclusive design that inspired the entire dashboard redesign, with one click, I can come here and I can quickly come through and find if this case does in fact stand for what my AI brought it up for. And I can go back to the output, or I can easily locate it here anytime. So I can pop around in these and do all my verifications. And a fraction of the time it would take me if I was generating the outputs using a different tool and then trying to verify them using our databases. You can see here each one of these cases has citations that you can, again, copy and paste. And it's important, I want to call out here, you also get content supporting the AI generated response. And let's take a look at that, okay? I like showing this because you can see, even though it only took a few seconds to come up with that response, you can see that our tool consulted 50 cases, 50 pieces of legislation, and 64 assets from practical guidance. And so that's another way you can know that the content that went into generating this output, again, it's not some stuff that somebody put on Reddit. It's from our exclusive curated authoritative content. I'm going to go ahead and ask a follow-up question now. So I'm writing this wrong deliberately. I put, what is the test for constructive dismissal arising from a toxic work environment? Why? Because when I talk about our extractive tool, I love to point out that the plain language searching that's enabled by our extractive tool is super effective because the algorithms learned to identify key legal terms like parties, jurisdictions, citations, entities. But this is the important part, legal concepts and their semantic equivalence. So if I search for something like toxic work environment, because the tools are familiar with a proprietary lexicon of 100,000 legal phrases and legal concepts, uh, the tool will look for results that are responsive based on a process of vector matching, which is far too complicated for me to explain, but maybe aren't using the perfectly correct keywords. And that's important. Why? Because the number one reason we don't get good search results is because we're not using the right keywords. So you can see here, I'm getting a response that's based on assets from practical guidance cases. And it's again really easy for me to go ahead, click through, and take a look at the asset and what it says. So again, I can really quickly verify which content was used to generate my response. Now, some of you have asked me on these demos, why is there only a 5-turn limit? Because you can ask a maximum number of 4 follow-up questions, and then the tool is just going to pop me back into this window. The reason for that is because that's another one of the safeguards that we use to make sure that the outputs are always reflective of the extremely high quality of the grounding materials. And so as we ask follow-up questions, the tool gets more and more oriented to maybe, I don't know, the outputs and the context. And we want it to always be going back to the source when it generates the outputs. And so that I understand is one of the reasons why we only have that 5-turn limit for questions. But one cool thing I can tell you, I did recently verify this, that if you choose us, if you choose to purchase a subscription to this tool, there isn't going to be a token limit. Okay, so while you can only do 5 turns per question, you're not going to get kicked out of it because you used up 25 tokens. You can continue to use this as long as you need to in order to do your work. So I think I'll pop over here to generate a draft. And like I said, these are the things that are really well supported. The tool's great at drafting legal arguments, legal memos, letters, emails, and clauses. But you can also ask it to draft other stuff. It's a roll of the dice. With a properly constructed prompt, I can show you one that I did the other day and save the time of putting the entire prompt in here. I find I get the best results if I tell the tool a little bit of a story about the facts and ask it to do something specific. So in this case, I asked it to draft a schedule to a human rights complaint in Ontario, and you can see it characterized it as a clause, but it did give me all of the notional content I would need to get started to shorten that time from blank page to first draft. Obviously, this output, I'm going to definitely want to come and maybe sync up and check out the precedence schedule A we have here in Practical Guidance for Human Rights, and I can show you what that looks like. And I can port that content into the precedent and really quickly again close that time limit between having a blank page and having a first draft. I love this because sometimes I have a lot of trouble getting started with drafting if I don't know what the output is supposed to look like. I'm not quite sure of what all the relevant information I need is, or I haven't fully investigated. And again, what's cool about this output is it gives me that first draft, and I can look at this and go, I now know everything I need to go ahead and ask my client about, and I can make a questionnaire and send it to them. And I can either put it myself into the precedent that I showed you or ask a support to do it. But again, the time from me having that first draft or flailing around, looking for precedents, looking for sources, trying to figure it out is eliminated. And that's important because, again, I think sometimes it's really easy to get stuck when you're drafting stuff. So uh, that's an example of an output from drafting. Um, I want to show you a couple of things too. So between these four features, each one of them is using different aspects of the technology. These three will kind of work together, right? So I can ask it, for example, to summarize a case. You might be familiar with their recent decision. I think I'm saying this right in Bykovitz that addressed the expectation of privacy in a person's IP address. I find the decisions are getting longer and longer. They're not getting any shorter. And before I sit down and, give 2 hours to reading the decision, I would really love a roadmap. I'd love to know if I really do need to read that decision. And I'd like to know, again, I don't need to spend an hour and a half reading it to determine that the juridically significant facts of my case are distinguishable, and therefore I don't need to read the rest of the analysis, right? So it can be really helpful to have a summary that's, again, faithfully and carefully generated from our machine learning tool. And when this is done, it doesn't happen instantaneously. Obviously, the tool, as I showed you, is going through a ton of content right now and performing at machine learning rates, what would take this old brain probably a day to do a summary of a case like this, right? So I'm just going to chill out and wait. And you can see here, it just popped out the key legal findings, the material facts, the issue, the existing law, and the ratio decidendi. All of us who went to law school know that this is a learned art for us. We weren't naturally able to quickly identify, which issues were actually before the court or which facts are actually juridically significant. Some other examples of things that I used it to draft today. As an employment lawyer, I don't know about you, but I find I'm getting more and more, everybody wants equity comp, right? In this case, I'm really trying to preserve energy because it's extremely hot where I am right now north of Ottawa, and I need all the energy to stay cool. So I put in what's actually a very sloppy prompt. If my product experts are watching, I'm sure they're shaking their heads. I just asked it for a double trigger event clause for executive employment that would trigger vesting for RSUs. And the tool will come back and say, I need more context if it can't complete your request. All right. But in this case, it did take my input and it produced a double trigger clause for RSUs, which is awesome. Looks pretty good to me. And I can, again, take this and start comparing that to, my client's instructions or other examples. And I love that it also gave me some drafting notes here, which is great. So I don't have, again, just a bare output with no reference, no contextualization. And again, this is the really key part, right? If I look at what it consulted, I know that it went through, again, with machine learning speed, 15 assets from practical guidance before it gave me that clause language. And I can, again, easily come in here, take a look at the drafting notes, take a look at the summary of the document, and take a look at the related practice note. And I will really rapidly focus on what's actually relevant to me instead of doing what I love to do, which is to go down rabbit holes, read things that are interesting for other reasons, and anything but focus on and complete my work. So I'm going to come back in here, back to the AI assistant. And the last thing I want to show you is upload documents and ask questions. So a lot of people are really excited about this feature, but what I have to tell you is this. This is only going to perform that extractive analysis and answer questions on what you upload here. If you need tool that's going to, analyze your document for consistency with the case law, for example, that tool's right here, brief analysis. What we can do here is I can do things like upload all of these agreements and upload again. These documents are encrypted. They're not going to be stored here forever. They are automatically deleted after 10 minutes of inactivity. So if I get called away from my screen or I leave this conversation, I'm doing something else, the system isn't storing your confidential work product or your client's confidential information. I'm afraid it's a little bit slow to upload because I'm probably overtaxing my internet and my computer right now. But what I can do, just keeping an eye on the time too, is ask it to compare terms of these agreements and to suggest, for example, which double trigger language would be most advantageous to my client, who is the employer, or which clauses, which version of these contracts is the most complete, or which clauses are missing from different versions of these contracts. Another thing you can do here, I'm sorry this is taking so long. I'm just going to go ahead and open another window and work away because I do not have patience for waiting. I don't know about you. Is ask it to, I downloaded a motion record. So I can upload the motion record and ask questions about, okay, that was a little bit quicker. I'm just going to say summarize the evidence specific to harm. It's going into my document and analyzing it. So in this case, I don't necessarily want to read the 21-page motion record. I really just want a blueprint as to where I can go ahead and find that evidence that's specific to my query or my job right now. Again, staying focused, not getting off track. While we let that work, I'm going to come over here, see how we're doing. I put compare the documents and I'm going to say which document. So I've been using the tool for a little while, and I can tell you if I ask a question like, can you suggest language that would improve on the attached? I may well get a response that says this query is not supported. Okay. You can see here it's analyzing the documents and analyzing the query. While I'm waiting for that output, I'm going to go check over here and see what it said on this other one. And you can see that it's given me a very short summary. And I'm just going to ask it to give me a more specific summary there. I see I'm running out of time. I'm going to keep playing with this. I'll give you this is the output of my compare documents upload. As you can see, I could probably spend the rest of the day enjoying experimenting with this, but I do want to come back to our slides and highlight, I guess, that in the United States, lawyers have been using this tool for some time, and this is the response we're getting. Overwhelmingly, lawyers say that this tool helps them save a very significant chunk of time. So to justify the spend of adding a tool like this, consider, again, I work with in-house counsel, so the average salary I'm looking for is maybe around $130,000 a year, at least according to Statistics Canada. And if we save that 25% or more of time, it depends, of course, on the function. And I'm making $64 an hour. This is the kind of return on investment that we're getting from the outlay on this tool. So for next steps, I want to invite you to do the following. Please come to LexisNexis Canada's AI Hub, sign up for the Lexis Plus Insider program. I'll show you how you get there. You just have to come to our homepage, LexisNexis Canada, and you will see the AI Hub will pop right up here. And you can use these buttons to become an insider, or to request a call, a personal demo with somebody like me or someone from our team. And the reason I wanted to, again, emphasize this for you today is do this before July 15th, because we have exclusive pre-launch pricing for early adopters that is an offer that I think you want to hear about. And it's worthwhile looking at. If you would consider looking at our tool, I think the pre-sale pricing is an opportunity that many people may regret not jumping on. So in conclusion, I do want to say thank you. We would love an opportunity to compete for your business. So please consider doing the actions um, that I just outlined. Come again to our Lexis Plus AI Hub, become an insider, and from this page, you'll be able to find a link that will enable you to request a one-on-one call with me or with one of our account executives or account managers. Thank you for your time, everybody. Thanks for coming out.